Hey everyone and welcome back to the channel. You know that feeling when you boot up a brand new open world game, step out into that vast digital landscape, and suddenly realize you've got a whole weekend disappearing into the void? Yeah, I've been living in that void for the past year and honestly, I regret nothing. Today we're diving deep into 20 absolutely stunning open world games on the PS5 that have completely consumed my life. And trust me, they're about to consume yours too. We're talking about worlds so immersive you'll forget to eat, stories so gripping you'll call in sick to work, and graphics so gorgeous you'll question reality itself. So grab your DualSense controller, maybe a snack or three, and let's explore some digital worlds that are pure, unfiltered gold. And hey, if you end up losing your next few months to these games, don't blame me, blame the incredible developers who crafted these masterpieces. Let's swing into action with Miles Morales, shall we? Now I'll be honest, when this first launched, I thought it might just be Spider-Man but with different powers. Boy, was I wrong. This game grabbed me by the web shooters and didn't let go for a second. The way Miles moves through New York City is pure poetry in motion. His bioelectric venom powers create these absolutely stunning light shows during combat that make every fight feel like a choreographed dance number. And can we talk about the snow-covered Manhattan for a hot second? The way the city transforms with a blanket of white, the Christmas lights reflecting off wet streets, it's like stepping into a Spider-Man snow globe. What really got me though was the personal story. Miles isn't just Peter Parker too, he's dealing with his own family drama, his own community, his own identity crisis. The moment when he finally embraces being his Spider-Man, not Peter's successor, man, I got genuine chills. The DualSense feedback when you're web-swinging through the city makes you feel every web strand's tension, every impact when you land. It's intoxicating. The only minor gripe, I wanted more. This felt like the perfect appetizer before the main course, but sometimes you just want to stay at the appetizer table forever. Is back, and Guerrilla Games said hold my beer to literally every other open-world developer. Forbidden West takes everything that made Zero Dawn special and cranks it up to 11. We're talking about a post-apocalyptic world that somehow manages to be devastatingly beautiful and terrifyingly dangerous at the same time. The robot dinosaurs, because let's be real, that's what we're all here for, are more spectacular than ever. Fighting feels like going toe-to-toe with a mechanical mountain, and the strategic gameplay of targeting specific components never gets old. You're not just button mashing, you're conducting a symphony of destruction, hitting weak points with surgical precision while dodging attacks that could level city blocks. But here's what really impressed me, the underwater sections. Most games treat water levels like that weird uncle everyone tolerates at family gatherings, but Forbidden West makes diving feel magical. Swimming through sunken ruins while schools of mechanical fish dart past you, discovering ancient secrets in drowned cities, it's breathtaking in the most literal sense. Character development continues to shine too. She's still that determined, occasionally snarky hero we fell in love with, but now she's grappling with being the chosen one when she just wants to be a person. The voice acting sells every emotional moment, especially during those quiet campfire conversations with your companions. Folks, Ghost of Tsushima is what happens when developers watch every samurai movie ever made and think we can do that, but it's interactive. This game is a love letter to feudal Japan, written in blood and cherry blossoms. The island of Tsushima feels alive in ways that most open-world games can only dream of. The wind isn't just a weather effect, it's your compass, your guide, your constant companion. Following the wind to your next objective while golden grass sways around you and leaves dance through the air creates this zen-like meditation that no other game has matched. Combat is where this game really draws its sword, if you'll pardon the pun. Jin's transformation from honorable samurai to pragmatic ghost creates this incredible narrative tension that plays out in every sword fight. Do you face your enemies head-on in a traditional standoff, or do you strike from the shadows with poison? And both paths feel equally valid and equally satisfying, but the weight of your choices follows you throughout the story. The director's cut adds Island, which somehow manages to be even more gorgeous than the main island. The new storylines dive deeper into Jin's psyche, forcing him to confront trauma and family legacy in ways that hit surprisingly hard. Plus, the Legends multiplayer mode is an absolute blast if you want to share the samurai experience with friends. In that photo mode, chef's kiss, I've spent more time capturing screenshots than actually playing sometimes. Every frame is a potential desktop wallpaper. Look, I know what you're thinking. The Witcher 3 isn't a PS5 exclusive. You're absolutely right, but the complete edition with all its next-gen enhancements is essentially a whole new experience. If you played this on PS4, playing it again on PS5 feels like putting on glasses for the first time. Its journey through the Northern Kingdoms remains one of gaming's greatest adventures. This is a world that doesn't just exist for your entertainment. It breathes, it lives, it continues even when you're not watching. NPCs have routines, political situations evolve, and your choices from 50 hours ago suddenly matter in ways you never expected. The side quests in Witcher 3 put most games' main stories to shame. Every contract feels like a short horror story, every character you meet has their own motivations and secrets. I still remember this one quest about a haunted lighthouse that started as a simple ghost hunt and ended up being a meditation on love, loss, and redemption. That's the kind of writing that sticks with you. Combat got some tweaks for the complete edition too, making feel more responsive and fluid. Signs flow together more naturally, sword work feels meatier, and the whole experience just clicks in a way that the original sometimes struggled with. Fair warning though, if you start of Witcher 3, prepare to kiss the next several months goodbye. I'm talking 200 plus hours if you want to see everything, and somehow it never feels like a grind. Vikings, mythology, and political intrigue. Valhalla takes the Assassin's Creed formula and drowns it in mead until something beautiful emerges. Playing as, you're not just conquering England, you're trying to build a home while honoring your heritage and navigating the complex politics of medieval Britain. The settlement system is where this game really hooked me. Watching grow from a handful of tents to a thriving community gives weight to all your raiding and exploring. Every upgrade feels meaningful, every new resident adds personality to your home base. It's like playing house, but with significantly more axe-wielding and considerably less tea time. Raiding monasteries and fortresses with your Viking crew never gets old. The sound of your longship cutting through British waters, your crew singing sea shanties, the anticipation building as you approach your target, it's pure adrenaline. The combat system rewards aggression and creativity, letting you dual-wield everything from massive two-handed axes to dinner knives if you're feeling particularly bold. The mythology aspects, especially the Asgard sequences, are trippy in the best possible way. These dreamlike visions blend Norse mythology with the overarching Assassin's Creed narrative in ways that actually make sense, which is more than I can say for some previous entries in the series. My only complaint, it's almost too big, like aggressively huge. You could spend 100 hours just in England and still have content left over. It's a buffet where every dish is delicious, but sometimes you just want a regular-sized meal, you know. Arthur Morgan's story is an interactive storytelling, and experiencing it with the PS5's enhanced performance is like watching a favorite movie in IMAX for the first time. This isn't just an open-world game, it's a time machine that drops you into the dying days of the American frontier. The attention to detail in RDR2 borders on obsessive, and I mean that in the most complimentary way possible. Your horse remembers how you treat it, NPCs recognize you based on your actions from hours ago, and the weather system creates these breathtaking moments where you're caught in a thunderstorm on the plains and feel genuinely small in the face of nature's power. But here's what really makes this game special: the slow moments. Riding through the heartlands at sunset, listening to camp conversations around the fire, watching Arthur sketch in his journal, these quiet beats between the action create an emotional connection that most games never achieve. You're not just playing a character, you're living a life. The gang dynamics are particularly brilliant. Each member of Dutch's crew feels like a real person with their own motivations, grudges, and relationships. The way loyalties shift and tensions build throughout the story creates this incredible sense of inevitable tragedy that had me genuinely invested in people who, let's face it, are pretty terrible human beings. Fair warning, this game demands your time and patience. It's not a quick dopamine hit, it's a slow burn that rewards investment. But if you let yourself sink into Arthur's world, you'll experience one of gaming's greatest achievements. Okay, hear me out on this one. I know Cyberpunk 2077 had, let's call them technical difficulties at launch. But after all the patches, updates, and the amazing Phantom Liberty expansion, Night City has become the neon-soaked playground we were originally promised. V's journey through the chrome and concrete jungle of Night City is a noir thriller wrapped in cyberpunk aesthetics, and it absolutely sings on PS5. The city feels genuinely alive, street vendors hawking their wares, suits rushing to their next meeting, gangs marking territory in back alleys. It's overwhelming in the best possible way. The gunplay and systems create this incredible power fantasy where you can approach every encounter like a digital ghost, a cyber ninja, or a walking tank depending on your build. Hacking into enemy implants to make them turn on each other never stops being satisfying, especially when you do it while hanging upside down from a building after slow-mo diving through a window. But it's the smaller stories that really got to me. Side quests dealing with digital immortality, AI consciousness, and what it means to be human in a world where you can replace every part of yourself. This is science fiction at its most thoughtful. The Phantom Liberty expansion, in particular, adds some of the best spy thriller content I've ever played in a video game. Yes, it's still not the game some people imagined, but what we have now is genuinely special. Night City is worth visiting, just maybe wait for a sale if you're still bitter about 2020. Hanging up his blades of chaos for a Nordic adventure could have been a disaster. Instead, it's a masterpiece of character development and world building that redefines what the God of War series can be. The relationship between Atreus is the beating heart of this game. Watching this angry god learn to be a father while dealing with his own traumatic past creates some of the most emotionally resonant moments in gaming. The boy memes are fun, but underneath that gruff exterior is a man desperately trying to break cycles of violence and rage. Combat feels weighty and satisfying in ways that make every encounter memorable. The Leviathan axe isn't just a weapon, it's an extension of himself. The way it flies through the air, the satisfying thunk when it connects with an enemy, the magical moment when it returns to your hand, it never gets old. Never. The seamless camera work deserves special mention too. The entire game is essentially one continuous shot, no loading screens or cuts, which creates this incredible sense of intimacy and immersion. You're not watching story, you're experiencing it alongside him. Norse mythology provides a perfect backdrop for themes of legacy, responsibility, and redemption. Every realm you visit feels distinct and purposeful, from the beautiful shores of to the hellish depths of. The way mythology weaves into personal story creates this epic scope that never feels overwhelming. Had impossible expectations to meet, and somehow it exceeded most of them. This isn't just a sequel. It's the emotional payoff to everything the 2018 game set up, wrapped in Norse apocalypse mythology that hits like a freight train made of feelings. Atreus has grown up, and watching him assert his independence while struggles to let go creates this beautiful, heartbreaking dynamic that any parent will recognize. Their relationship evolves in ways that feel natural and earned, culminating in moments that had me genuinely misty-eyed. The combat system expands in smart ways, giving you more tools without making things overly complicated. Atreus becomes a more active partner in fights, and the addition of other companions throughout the journey keeps encounters feeling fresh. Plus, getting the Blades of Chaos back for certain sections, chef's kiss pure catharsis. Each of the 9 realms feels more fleshed out this time around. Vanaheim in particular is gorgeous, with these massive ancient trees and mystical fog that makes exploration feel magical. The environmental storytelling is top-notch. You can read the history of these worlds in their architecture, their scars, their beauty. The ending, well, no spoilers, but prepare yourself emotionally. Monica Studio crafted a conclusion that honors everything that came before while setting up exciting possibilities for the future. It's rare for a game to stick the landing this well. From Software took their signature brutal but fair gameplay and unleashed it in an open world, and the result is pure, unfiltered magic. Ring is what happens when you combine Dark Souls' challenging combat with Breath of the Wild's sense of discovery, then wrap it all in George R.R. Martin's twisted fantasy imagination. The Lands Between is a broken, beautiful world that rewards curiosity above all else. Every hill you climb reveals new vistas, new secrets, new opportunities to die horribly to enemies you weren't prepared for. But that's the beauty of it, unlike previous Souls games. If you hit a wall, you can always go explore somewhere else and come back stronger. Combat is as precise and punishing as ever, but the addition of mounted combat on your spectral steed Torrent adds this wonderful new dimension to fights. Battling massive dragons while galloping across open fields feels epic in ways that dungeon encounters simply can't match. The boss fights are legendary. I'm talking about encounters that will be discussed and analyzed for years to come. Festival's Blade Dance, the cosmic horror of these aren't just difficult fights, they're interactive art pieces that tell stories through gameplay. Fair warning, this game will test your patience and skill in equal measure. I've seen grown adults reduced to tears by the challenge, but I've also witnessed the pure joy that comes from finally overcoming what seemed impossible. It's not for everyone, but for those who click with it, Ring is transformative. Before Forbidden West, there was Zero Dawn, and experiencing's origin story with PS5 enhancements is like rediscovering a classic album with better speakers. This is where the robot dinosaur revolution began, and it still holds up beautifully. The mystery of what happened to the old world unfolds like the best science fiction novels, with discovering fragments of truth that slowly paint a picture of humanity's hubris and potential redemption. The audio logs and scattered throughout the world tell stories that are often more compelling than the main narrative. Zero Dawn's version of the post-apocalyptic world feels unique because it's genuinely hopeful. Yes, civilization fell, but nature reclaimed everything beautifully. The juxtaposition of primitive tribes living among the bones of skyscrapers creates this aesthetic that's both melancholy and optimistic. The robot designs remain some of the best in gaming. Each machine serves a purpose in the ecosystem, behaves logically, and presents unique tactical challenges. Learning to hunt efficiently is like earning a D in applied violence, and it never stops being satisfying. If you played Forbidden West first, Zero Dawn might feel a bit clunky in comparison. But the story and world building are so strong that technical limitations fade into the background. This is essential gaming, full stop. I mentioned Ghost of Tsushima earlier, but Island deserves its own spotlight because it's essentially a separate game's worth of content that rivals most full releases. This expansion takes everything great about the base game and distills it into a more personal, focused experience. Island deals with Jin's trauma and family legacy in ways that the main game only hinted at. The psychological horror elements, the way past and present blur together, the confrontation with repressed memories, it's heavy stuff wrapped in gorgeous visuals and satisfying samurai combat. The new enemy types and combat mechanics add just enough variety to keep things fresh without overwhelming the established systems. The shamans in particular create these trippy, hallucinogenic encounters that mess with your perception in clever ways. The island itself is smaller than Tsushima but somehow feels more dense with secrets and stories. Every shrine, every hot spring, every hidden grove has been carefully placed and serves a purpose in the narrative. It's quality over quantity executed perfectly. Walking simulator package delivery game social commentary fever dream is, well, it's a lot of things. Death Stranding is probably the most divisive game on this list, but for those who connect with its unique vision, it's unforgettable. Playing as Sam Porter Bridges, you're literally rebuilding America one delivery at a time. The gameplay loop of planning routes, balancing cargo, and navigating treacherous terrain creates this meditative experience that's unlike anything else in gaming. It's peaceful and stressful simultaneously. The social elements are brilliantly implemented. Other players leave helpful structures, supplies, and encouragement throughout the world, creating this sense of shared humanity even in a devastated landscape. Finding a perfectly placed ladder or bridge left by another player can genuinely make your day. The story is peak weirdness, dealing with themes of connection, isolation, and death through the lens of supernatural pregnancy, rain, and invisible monsters. It sounds ridiculous when I describe it, but somehow it all comes together into something profound and moving. The director's cut adds substantial content and quality-of-life improvements that make the experience more accessible. If you bounced off the original, this version might change your mind. After the massive, sometimes overwhelming experiences of Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, Mirage feels like a breath of fresh air. This is Assassin's Creed returning to its roots in the best possible way. Playing as in 9th century Baghdad, you're getting a more intimate, focused experience that prioritizes stealth and parkour over massive open-world checklists. The city feels alive and authentic, with bustling markets, beautiful architecture, and hidden secrets around every corner. The parkour system has been refined to feel smooth and responsive, making traversal a joy rather than a chore. Leaping from rooftop to rooftop through medieval Baghdad captures that original Assassin's Creed magic that sometimes got lost in the more recent entries. Combat is more intimate and challenging, encouraging stealth over direct confrontation. When you do have to fight, encounters feel meaningful rather than repetitive. The hidden blade assassination animations are particularly satisfying. There's something primal about perfectly timing a stealth takedown. The story connects to the larger AC mythology without getting down in complex meta-narratives. It's a personal tale of growth, betrayal, and finding your place in the world that works whether you're a series veteran or newcomer. The game that started the Souls phenomenon gets a complete visual overhaul for PS5, and it's absolutely stunning. This remake doesn't just update graphics, it reimagines as a gothic nightmare rendered in detail. For newcomers to the Souls formula, Demon's Souls serves as both an excellent introduction and a brutal baptism by fire. The game teaches you its rules through repeated failure, but every death feels educational rather than punitive. Well, mostly. The atmosphere is unmatched. Each of the 5 presents a completely different flavor of despair and challenge. The Tower of Latria remains one of gaming's most effective horror experiences, while Tunnel's industrial hellscape feels oppressive in all the right ways. The boss fights are iconic for a reason. The Fool's Idol, Old King, these encounters test different skills and require different strategies, keeping you on your toes throughout the entire experience. The multiplayer elements add this wonderful unpredictability to the experience. You never know when another player might invade your world or when you'll find helpful messages and bloodstains left by other travelers. It creates this sense of shared struggle that enhances the already strong atmosphere. Cloud Strife's return to gaming is in how to remake a beloved classic while respecting the source material and adding modern depth. Intergrade doesn't just retell the section of FFVII, it expands and enriches it in ways that feel both familiar and surprising. The combat system brilliantly bridges the gap between classic turn-based RPG mechanics and modern action gameplay. You can button mash your way through easier encounters, but harder fights require tactical thinking, party coordination, and smart use of the ATB system. Has never looked better or felt more alive. The slums feel appropriately grimy and desperate, while the upper plates showcase technological dominance. The environmental storytelling is exceptional. You can read the city's history and social stratification just by walking through different districts. The DLC adds substantial content with a completely different gameplay feel. Playing as the ninja thief provides fresh combat mechanics and a new perspective on familiar events. Plus, her personality brings levity to some of the story's heavier moments. The music deserves special recognition. Its original compositions are lovingly reimagined and expanded, creating a soundtrack that honors the past while feeling completely contemporary. Peter Parker's original PS5 adventure still holds up beautifully, especially with all the remastered enhancements. Web swinging through Manhattan remains one of gaming's joys, and the DualSense haptic feedback makes every web strand feel tangible. The story does a great job of presenting an experienced Spider-Man dealing with threats that push him to his limits. This isn't an origin story, it's about a hero facing consequences of past decisions and fighting to protect the people he loves. Combat flows beautifully between acrobatic dodges, web-slinging attacks, and gadget usage. Every encounter feels like a choreographed fight scene from the best Spider-Man movies. The suit powers add variety without overwhelming the core mechanics. The side content is actually worth doing, which is rare for open-world games. From stopping petty crime to uncovering research stations, most activities feel meaningful and add to your understanding of Peter's world. The DLC episodes add substantial story content that deals with some of Spider-Man's most iconic villains. Black Cat's storyline in particular adds emotional weight and consequences that carry over into Miles Morales. Insomniac Games created a technical showcase disguised as a Saturday morning cartoon, and the results are magical. Rift Apart uses the PS5's SSD technology to create jumping that loads new worlds literally instantaneously. Playing as both Ratchet and Rivet, you're bouncing between dimensions in ways that should break the game but somehow work perfectly. The variety in environments is staggering. One moment you're in a neon-soaked cyberpunk city, the next you're exploring prehistoric jungles or magical fantasy realms. The weapon variety is classic Ratchet and Clank insanity cranked up to 11. From the burst fire that shoots ricocheting energy balls to the topiary sprinkler that turns enemies into decorative shrubs, every tool in your arsenal is ridiculous and satisfying to use. The DualSense integration is some of the best on the platform. Each weapon has unique haptic feedback and adaptive trigger resistance that makes them feel distinct. The hunting bow's string tension, the enforcer's shotgun blast, these tactile differences enhance the gameplay in subtle but meaningful ways. It's not the longest game on this list, but every moment is polished to perfection. This is pure, concentrated fun distilled into interactive entertainment. Ember Lab's debut game feels like a movie you can play, and I mean that in the most complimentary way possible. Its journey to help lost spirits find peace is emotionally resonant and visually stunning. The rot creatures are impossibly cute and serve as both gameplay mechanic and emotional anchor for the experience. Collecting more rot and dressing them up in tiny hats is surprisingly addictive, and their animations during combat and exploration never fail to bring a smile to my face. Combat strikes a perfect balance between challenging and accessible. Boss fights require pattern recognition and timing, but the difficulty never feels unfair. The way abilities evolve throughout the game creates a satisfying sense of progression. The environmental storytelling is exceptional. Each corrupted area tells a story of loss and regret, and helping heal these spaces through gameplay feels genuinely meaningful. The transformation from darkness to light is always spectacular. The animation work is absolutely gorgeous. Characters move with level fluidity and expressiveness, making emotional moments hit with surprising impact. The voice acting supports the visual storytelling beautifully. Psychological horror experience is absolutely bonkers in the best possible way. Playing as Selene, trapped in a time loop on the hostile alien planet Atropos, you're experiencing one of gaming's most unique and challenging adventures. The core gameplay loop is addictive in that just one more run way that defines great. Every death teaches you something new about the world, the enemies, or your own capabilities. The random generation keeps encounters fresh while maintaining narrative coherence. Combat is bullet hell perfection adapted for 3D space. Dodging between dozens of projectiles while returning fire creates this zen-like flow state that's incredibly satisfying to achieve. The weapons feel weighty and unique, each with their own personality and optimal use cases. The psychological horror elements are brilliantly implemented. Selene's deteriorating mental state, the mysterious house that appears throughout her journey, the audio logs that may or may not be reliable, it all creates this unsettling atmosphere that gets under your skin. The DualSense integration is phenomenal. You can feel raindrops hitting your suit, the tension of drawing a bow, the impact of enemy attacks. It's sensory immersion that enhances the already strong atmosphere. And there you have it, folks, 20 open-world games on PS5 that have collectively consumed months of my life. And I regret absolutely nothing. From swinging through New York as Spider-Man to exploring the mystical realms of God of War, from building Viking settlements in Assassin's Creed Valhalla to unraveling the mysteries of Horizon's post-apocalyptic world, these games represent the absolute pinnacle of what interactive entertainment can achieve. Until next time, keep gaming, keep exploring, and remember, the next great adventure is always just a button press away.